Welcome to the next episode of Independent Artists Unite. I am so psyched, super excited to have Kid Barrett here tonight. What's up, dude?
Man, thanks for having me, dude.
So you were just
Yeah.
saying, I thought you were in LA. We were just talking, but you're really
So what I do is I go back and forth
oh, you go back and
between
forth. All
LA
right.
and AZ. Yeah, because it's just became better for me to kind of be a bit more mobile, you know.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So but also just for mental health reasons too. Just a lot of things
Yeah.
happen fast and
LA
I was
is
just
tough. Yeah.
dude, and no, and LA is my hometown, you know, like born and raised there.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, dude, I still gotta keep doing my thing and heading out there and just making stuff happen because I know that's where it's at too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, but it's nice to be able to get away too. But you and I saw on a post, are you American Indian?
No, so here's the thing. So that's the cool thing about being out here in Arizona is that um I've made a couple of buddies out here and I have this guy who connected me to the Kokopah tribe that's out
Okay.
here. And it's one of the three main tribes that's here in this county. So they just wanted us to do a gig, you know.
Oh,
So
cool. Oh, wow.
yeah,
Okay.
and they just heard about our they saw what we were doing because I've been playing a lot in LA with a couple guys, Fever,
Yeah.
Vessel, and yeah, I just want to give a shout out to them because like without Vessel, I wouldn't have met Fever, you know, and it's just like this like networking tumble kind of thing
Yeah.
that we have going on lately, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so and with like that, without James, I wouldn't have met you, you know. So a little
Yeah,
shout out
yeah.
to James
Oh, yeah.
Hales.
Of course, of course.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Actually, I'm having fever. I'm having fever on the show tomorrow.
yeah,
We're
I
t
saw
taping it
that.
tomorrow. Yeah,
And that's exciting. Yeah, cool. So that's what I love Fever. Like he's such a great guy. So
yeah.
playing with them out there has just really broadened my horizons of like what's really possible within the having a community of artists that just
Yeah.
kind of support each other and just put each other's like I mean, you know, it's always been like that with music. Like, and if anything, if you look back at like scenes, if you just watch like Woodstock footage, you'll
Mhm.
see that like everyone's kind of watching each other's sets, you know, and like just
Mm.
really being entertained by what you said the other day that I'm just a fan. Like, we're
Yeah,
just
yeah,
fans
yeah.
of music at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah.
So
But I
I
have
think
to
that's really
say, I
exciting.
mean, I'm it's like I'm learning this again from you guys because I didn't have that for many years because I was like one of these guys that was so desperate for success, when I was in New York, and I couldn't enjoy like my peers at that time. I feel like the scene was a little more cutthroat then because it was after, it was like this early '90s to late. I mean, the whole '90s really, because it was like the people signing to like good record deals was like really dying out,
Yeah, 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 totally.
already, and the streaming hadn't happened yet, and so it was like when someone did get signed, you'd be like, "What the fuck?" Well,
What the hell am
I
I
mean,
doing here?
I would, I'd be like, "Oh, come on,"
Yeah, I
or
totally get
like
it.
you're a Ramones t-shirt. I'm like, "Oh, come on, that's another Ramones, band, come on."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was so pissed, but that was part of my whole thing, and I wasn't enjoying it at all. And now I love the whole streaming thing, and because now it's like we got to team up and see if we can slay this beast,
Yes.
and
And you
so
know,
I'd like to just drop all that shit. I think too because I'm older
oh,
now. I could just be like, oh fuck that,
let's just
I
drop
I hope
music.
everyone's a success. You know what I mean? Everyone.
Oh, exactly. I was just talking to my partner about that. Like, there's enough room at the table for everybody. You know,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can all
yeah,
have fun. We could all throw our and this whole internet streaming thing, even though it kind of has taken us like, you know, it kind of like hit us in the ribs because we can't really make as much money as we used to out of music, but
yeah,
like it does give you way more freedom to be an
yeah.
artist of your own and just kind of like when I talk to you, I'm like, wow, he's putting his own stuff out. It's really well crafted. It just feels like you know.
Yeah.
And when James puts out his stuff, it just feels like James. And my stuff is a little more like I've just I'm moody, you know, but nowadays I've been kind of leaning more. I gave you a preview of the new track, and it's just like I'm kind of leaning more into like just packing a song with energy, good energy that just moves your body, you
Yeah,
know? Like,
let's talk about that song because that's exactly what you did there on Life's Dance. It's
yes.
called. So tell us about that, how it came about, and a little bit a little window into your creative
Sure, of
prowess.
course. I would love that. So coming off right off of like Purgatory and Sex Club, which were my last two singles that I just dropped in the last like couple 6 7 months, you know. Um, I was like, I really got, and people really kind of like they rock. And sorry, my cat's here too.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I've got three in the other room, so.
Oh, right on, yeah. That she's like, so you might hear
Yeah,
little meows here and there.
yeah, yeah.
So
That's
right
all right.
after those two songs, I just felt like I really needed to follow up with something that A had similar power,
Mm,
but also had some sort of a like a message, you know, that kind of, you know, just life is crazy, man. Life is crazy, but at the end of the day, it should just be a dance. It's just a dance that happens within all the components of life, you know. You
mm,
got ups, you got downs.
yeah,
If you listen to the chorus, I'm like saying like if you've got to be somewhere, then get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? Like, because that's kind of
mm,
how life's dance floor should be. It's like the people who are just kind of like in the way of the dancers should just move out of the dance floor, you know?
yeah,
And
yeah,
kind of like just a little metaphors here and
yeah,
there.
yeah,
In a way, it makes it better for the dancer. And then it's like you can dance, you know? It's just a song I think I wanted it to be a powerhouse, you know, and I hope that that's kind of what it felt like, you know, like damn, like did a train just come through here, you know,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
you
Exactly. Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well, I think it's cool. I mean, I have to say, I love your whole, I love your whole thing. You know, I love
thanks,
that
man.
your name's Kid Barrett.
Thank
I love, and I love the fact that you're like, I mean, you're a rock star. I mean, totally, you're a total rock star, which I love.
not even like make letting
I've
that
always
get to my
loved rock
head.
stars. You
Thank you. Thank you. And same to you. Like that's it's so funny that you say that because when James was talking to me about you and just saying
know.
great things, by the way. And I started looking at your stuff and looking at your work and he's like, no, dude, like he's the real deal. And I was like, dude, like, yeah, bro, like um all your aesthetic, it's the same. We have kind of like this like similar and it's funny because you mentioned the other day that uh when you give a kid Ziggy Stardust and
Kiss
Destroyer.
Destroyer.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's so fucking cool because
Yeah,
for me, all that is a big deal. Like, you know, learning about Kiss, learning about like, and it's funny because like I was in elementary school during like 9/11. So I was like in third grade.
yeah,
So, but like around like fourth, fifth grade is when I started really absorbing music, you know.
yeah,
I had a friend who in elementary school just like came up to me and like he was a fucking rock, like what you said, he was a rock star like already in fifth grade, man. I was like, this kid knows everything, and he had patches, he had a
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
battle vest and shit. And
Uh,
then I was just reading all the bands like Pink Floyd, Kiss, Slipknot, and but he mixed everything, you know, just like whatever he fucking liked.
yeah,
He was
yeah,
a
yeah.
skater, and I was like, this guy's super fucking cool. He ended up becoming my friend, you know, and he showed me a lot of my like stuff. He sat me down with Kiss, you know,
Mm,
and that's when I was finally like looking at Kiss's pictures and listening to Kiss's music at the same time, and I was like, fuck, man, these guys are superheroes, you know, like they're
yeah, yeah,
fucking heroes. So to be honest, I really like resonated with that. And that's what it's all about, I think. What I wanted to portray with Kid Barrett, because
yeah.
I've been in bands before. Like I graduated from high school in 2011,
Mm,
and but by then I already had been in two bands, and I was about to start my third one,
mm,
which you know, just it was super fun and everything. Sadly, like just like you know how it happens in bands after a couple of years, kind of like creative differences happen, and then you're just
yeah,
like, okay, let me just kind of focus on what I want to do, and you know, it's never, it's just it happens within bands, like you
yeah,
just. And I was just telling James the other day, I'm like, there's a lot of freedom within being able to just be your own creator and just put out music and be like,
Yeah.
hey, I wrote this song, I'm the songwriter, and I'm also an artist as well. So let me just kind of package this as an artistic delivery, you know?
I mean, totally. I mean, there's so much freedom in that. I mean, like I've had friends, that were assigned to deals and touring and all that stuff,
Right.
and you think, oh, they're living the dream life, but they, if they have any success at all, then the record company just wants another song like the one that was successful, right?
Right.
They can't
Exactly.
ever go on to new things. That plus they're most of them when they get successful, there's co-writers and the producers are co-writing and they're pushing a
Yeah.
certain thing that they don't even want to do anymore. So it really becomes like a slog, a job and
Drag, a
yeah,
chore.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's like it's like because for me as a little kid, of course, I'm sitting there with Ziggy Stardust gatefold and planning,
Yeah. Yeah.
creating my blueprint for international rock stardom, and
Yeah.
and as I sing into my brush, but it was like you know I don't think I would have been happy if that worked out. I really don't, I mean,
That's interesting.
maybe if it was the 70s or something, but I would have been, like at my peak if these bands really hit like in the 90s and it was already horrible with the record companies, it wasn't like here's a bunch of money, go be creative, like in the
It was
70s.
already pretty sketchy for
Yeah, yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. And
I
people were
bet.
all, and people even that I know that got signed to deals there um, they got signed to a deal. The worst thing just sat there and nothing happened. And then a new president of the company came in and they were dropped, or they did okay with like their first album and and their second album, they tried to do something a little creatively different, and the company was just like, and it was a total about
Mm.
I don't think I know anybody from my time who had multiple album success, so I think about the way things are now, especially since I met James. I mean, this is like, you know I'm, all I can tell you is that he sent me a final mix last night and I had tears in my eyes.
Oh yeah, that's
you,
that type of stuff he's
you
doing
know
right now.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, what I mean, what more do
Yeah.
you want? You know what I mean?
Like without I always tell this guy like and it's there's only so much you can get across in like a 1 minute message
Yeah,
on Instagram or like on just even just texting and stuff that but I try to tell him like bro what you've done to my music is like what I've dreamt of like I've dreamt of this from
yeah,
like
yeah,
when I started music like for this sound to be layered over this other sound for this other one to swoosh in and he gets that and I think as long as you have the right terminology with James your money he's just
yeah.
gonna get exactly what you want and like I said
And
I try
how long have you been working with him now? And because he's doing, he's mixing everything for you now,
well,
right?
that's funny that I'm wearing the Ramones shirt
Yeah.
because I think it was about like right as COVID was kind of like mellowing out, things were starting to open up slowly. Uh, he dropped like a Pet Cemetery cover. Sorry, I'm like,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember.
he
Yeah,
got the Pet Cemetery cover, and then I was like, wow, like Ramones has been one of my first ones too. Like I've always just loved the Ramones, their whole shtick. And so when James covered that, I was like, this is amazing. Let me hit him up. And I personally like was like, but I think we had been following each other for like about maybe a year before that. Yeah, like I
wow.
have no idea. Just Instagram back then was, I think the algorithms were just working in a different way back then, and just
Yeah,
getting people together. He found, I don't know how we found each other on Instagram. We started following each other. And then, but it wasn't until like about, I would say over a year, maybe a year or two, that we finally started talking.
wow.
And, and he, I mean, after that, I dropped a song called, it was within one of my EPs called Neon City. And when I made a music video for it, and I guess he really finally sat down. I think he said, he's like, once I heard Neon City, he's like, okay, I get Kid Barrett now. He said, he told me. So that's when I was like, okay, cool. So, And that's when he kind of presented himself to me and was like, hey, you know what? Like, I also, because when I heard uh the Pet Cemetery song, not only was it a cover, but it was like a almost like a dark wave rendition of it, you know, and like
Mm.
and to hear that song a whole different way from a band that I've loved, I was like, dude, this is awesome. So yeah, fuck yeah, it was. That's where we just kind of like, okay, we understand each other. We're kind of on the same vibe, you know. Like
Yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah.
Ramones, we're good. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
for that,
I know he loves you. He says that all the time. I just love
dude,
Kid Barrett. He's like my best friend.
yeah, bro, we're like
Okay.
we're like musical fucking what would they even be called? We're two peas in a pod.
Symbiote is
You
like
know what I mean? Like we
they like
just
yeah,
gravitate
Venom
and
and
it's just cool. I mean, and same thing
yeah.
with you. Like the minute I the other day when we were talking about the collective and when I decided to be like, you know what, like I'll join with these guys. Like all I mean, they all make great music. We are all just kind of wanting the same thing. We all have the same goal. So I'm like, let's just hang out. You know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what it is.
That's
Like
I mean
let's just hang
exactly.
out and chill.
That's how I look at it, you know.
But the minute I heard your
Oh.
voice, I was like, this guy's chill as hell. I'm like, okay, he's cool as hell. And like I'm like I said, originally from LA. Where are you originally from New York?
Well, it's
Or was it
yeah,
complicated?
yeah, well, I'll just say I lived in New York for 22 years, so before I came to Denmark. So I'm a
Like a
real
big
New
chunk of your
Yorker.
life.
Yeah. But you know, I spent a year in Hollywood actually in
Oh no way.
2000, yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
right on.
which was just ended up being a total disaster, but it was exciting at the time.
Yeah, it's different. At least it's like it's a different experience for sure, you know.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
growing up there, man, like, it's I love it. It's like that's my city, and I get homesick sometimes when I leave it, you know. But I do understand how the effect of like being within a bigger city, what that
Mm.
does to you, and it makes you appreciate when you go out into the countryside or something, you know, like you're just like, wow,
Dude, I think
the
that's so
silence
smart that you're doing
is
that. Yeah.
yeah, so that's but yeah, man. Like lately, well, we were talking about life stance. Like I was, like I said, I had just dropped Purgatory. I
Mm.
dropped Sex Club, and I was like, I just want to have something to follow up. So then James decides to remix one of my songs as well, and he's like, "Hey, dude, by the way, I remixed your song." You know, like what? Let me hear that. You know, because I'm so with me, I'm like really big on I mean I'm sitting here on top of my record collection right now,
Mm-mm.
but I listen to it basically if it plays, you know, if it plays on a record, let it spin, you know, like let's see what's on that record. That's how I am, you
Mm-mm.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just yeah, like I don't know what was I even getting on that. Like
Well, you know what I wanted to say was that I mean
oh with Life's Dance, yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah, with Life Stand, it's like it's I mean too, it really is a dance song. I mean, I don't know if you were pitching it to DJs in LA and stuff
And
like
that's
that,
exactly
but
what I was getting to. That I'm like, it's a housey, like I wanted something kind of housey. Like
mm,
that's it's funny that you're saying that. You're like, oh, you should be pitching it to DJs. So that's my thing. With this new EP that I'm about to put out on August 28th. I want that, and any DJ, if you're listening to this, like let me know. I'll send it to you in a little like zip file. All those songs, like I want them to be like what you said. You can throw them on at a party at any moment, you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
just feel good party songs.
It
I want
it
something.
reminds me of like Madonna back in the day when
Oh,
she had oh, come on. What was it? Was it Come On Everyone Dance with Me? Was that the first?
yeah,
Is that what it was
fucking.
called? Come on, dance. I don't know, but she was
I'm like
carrying it
Madonna,
around on
like
a
she's
tape.
going through all her discography and her celebrate, like the.
Yeah, no, but she had it on a tape, and she went around to DJs, you know, and
Oh,
then
really?
she got the DJ at Danceteria
I had no
to
clue.
play it. Yeah, and that was her big break, you know.
No
He
way.
finally said, "All right, fine, I'll fucking play it," and he put it on, and he loved it, and the crowd loved it, and then it was just like, you know,
Yeah, so it's what's funny that you say that last so like during April I got offered a gig, but then something happened and it just kind of fell through, but they were like, you know what? I'm gonna also do this other gig. Just give me your song, or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. So they ended up playing my song, and they sent me the video of them playing the song. I'm like, oh, cool. I mean, at least my song's bumping in the club, so I'm there. I'm
Oh,
technically
awesome.
still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's so cool, like I said, that you look like you're a total rock star, but it's this dance beat music, and then but your voice too is not the typical dance song voice. That's also a rock and roll voice, and it's
Thank
like,
you.
wow, this is a cool juxtaposition of
Thank you.
things.
And that's what I
And,
was telling you. I do
yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Go
yeah,
on,
yeah,
sorry, I cut you off. I cut you off.
yeah. No, no, no. I just think it's a cool combination of things because it's like I was saying this to someone else, who uh oh it was the guy from Madness, which I love. I mean from Dark Ways, Dark Ways.
Oh, okay.
And but he doesn't think he's like a great singer, and I'm like, dude, it's your voice is, anybody can make this music,
Yeah,
and so it's the voice, and so
yeah.
you're I'm not saying anybody can make that song, but I'm just saying
I'm
your
saying like,
voice
yeah.
makes it special,
Thank
it, it,
you. I
it,
appreciate
it makes you listen to it and be like, okay, this is not the usual thing I'm about to hear, you know what I mean?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Like growing up in rock bands, and just um my first, like, I have my Telecaster there because blues is important to me. Like
Yeah.
as a guitar player, I started off with like tried to start off with the fundamentals of rock and roll. Just because I got a tip when I was younger, and they're like, if you learn blues, you can like pretty much figure out the rest on your own. And I'm
Mm,
like, oh, okay, so let's figure out the blues. And I mean, blues is fun. You can play blues for hours. So, but yeah, I started off with blues, and then growing up in LA, a lot of hip hop, just
mm,
cars bumping Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Tupac all day long. So
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I grew up with a lot of that's something that I would like to say. Like a lot of people don't know that about me. I'm a
Mm,
big hip hop and like trap fan as well. So
yeah, yeah. Well, I can hear
yeah,
that in
I
the
love
beats
all
and
that
stuff
stuff.
too. Yeah,
Beats.
yeah.
Yeah, because I learned different things from every genre. Like listening to I grew up with Dr. Dre, and I've heard multiple interviews of him talking about his music. And when you go into the music, you learn like, oh, maybe I should put crashes on all the ones. When you're producing and you're fine, like you end up going like, okay, well, from hip hop I learned this, from house I learned this,
Mm,
and like exactly what you said. Like I wanted these songs to have like the thump of a
mm.
club.
Yeah, yeah,
When you go
totally,
to a club
totally.
that has
Yeah,
that
it
thump.
totally has that. Totally has that. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
But also kind of like that industrial feeling of like a Ramstein or a Nine Inch Nails song,
yeah.
where
Mm,
it still
mm.
feels like, okay, this still feels like rock and roll in a way.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's kind of
yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, totally. Yeah. I mean, your voice takes it there instantly. But I'm curious, did you have vocal influences with your singing where you're like when
oh,
you're a kid, you're like, oh,
and
I want to sound like him, because it's quite
so
unusual,
when
your voice.
so
Special
I'm a
voice.
big classic rock guy. Like that's where I started off. So
Mm.
name it. You name classic rock, and I love the guys who really were powerhouses, or the women as well,
Oh
who were
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah, yeah.
powerhouses. That was something that was really fun to me. But also growing up in, I mean, I'm not super religious now. I'm kind of just like do my own thing. But I grew up Christian within a Christian church.
Mm.
Uh, almost like going every Sunday up until I was like 11 years old, and so growing up in the church, seeing some of my family members hit those notes and go up there and be within a choir and all that stuff, I learned a bit about like the layering of vocals, which
Mm.
James tells me that like because we're the same. He's like, hey, Scott's kind of similar to you with the vocal tracks. And I'm like, that's crazy. 'Cause I'm big on like
Yeah.
hearing that Freddie Mercury was layering a bunch of vocals.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
Beatles layered like 29, or I forget how many vocals for Because on Abbey Road, and like
Yeah.
Pink Floyd layering a bunch of shit, on
Mm-mm.
a track. So I'm a big guy on like classics. So Robert Plant, Freddie Mercury. And it's so funny. It's so ambitious, but it's like those are just the guys I love. I love
Yeah,
when
yeah,
Jim
yeah,
Morrison fucking hit the high notes and like the oh yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like that's where I'm like, oh, that's the soul, that the
yeah,
soul's
yeah,
right
yeah,
there. I can see the soul.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I just love anyone who was like that. Like, but then again, I'm so broad that um I love like I just love even mellow voices too. Like I said, growing up in church, you learn that
Mm,
everyone has a spot in this
mm,
choir.
mm,
It's just everyone is a different range and a different tone for their voice. And
mm,
that's I think what you were saying earlier that like the vocals is what takes it there. And like I still so with my first three EPs, those so I was in bands, and when I left the band scene, I kind of just really went hard into production. Really wanted to
mm,
learn music production. Took up some courses for that and went to school for that. And then once I came out of that, I was like, okay, well, let's do something with this knowledge now. Let's so I
yeah.
started just really, and I had been working on songs, and I finally started like crafting them into like an EP that I
Mm,
wanted to package out. And that became my Kid Barrett EP. Um, but from that, it was just like, wow, okay, I know kind of what I'm doing. I'm just gonna keep going. And I don't always go like, I think I had to find my voice as Kid
mm,
Barrett
mm,
because I had the idea of what I wanted artistically for it. I
mm,
knew I wanted it to be dark. I wanted it to be basically the dark. Okay, so Kid Barrett is supposed to be like an alter ego,
mm,
and like that's why like a lot of the times I have like bruised, like it like the makeup almost looks like bruises,
mm,
like
mm,
so because I mean I have gone through a lot of stuff, violence and like all kinds of shit, dealing with addiction within the families and stuff like that. Like
mm, mm,
I'm just like it feels like it's the tattered, like battered, like vampire that has risen from all
mm.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's
yeah.
just like, you know what? I'm still fucking here. I'm still a fucking savage. So that's what I wanted Kid Bear to be. Just and so a lot of those songs on my first EP are very heartfelt. If you like look at within the lyrics, they're very like I was just going through a lot and I poured it all in there. I put
Mm,
packaged it in there and I'm like, okay, it's done. And so sure enough, I started dropping my record and I started really basically you would have loved it. I wish you were in LA. I would have invited you for my first for the release of that. I was able to talk to a good friend of mine, Erica, and she has a great band too. It's called She Loves Tragedy.
mm,
She was actually working there at the club at the time, but she was also booking bands because they
mm,
wanted to start like a bands while the girls were dancing at the club. And so she let me play there, and it was just great, man. Like being able to play
mm,
those songs that I like worked on so hard
mm.
while like people are dancing. It was just so great.
Yeah.
So it just really geared me up. But then guess what? COVID came in like a couple months and just
Yeah.
my whole momentum that I had going on. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I can still write music. I can still produce. And so that's kind of what the next EP was all the songs that didn't make it onto the first one, plus some stuff that I wrote during COVID.
Mm,
So the mood is like, it's so weird. It was so uncertain at the time that I'm like, okay, a lot of the songs are very moody and like I think I saw you use Life the other day. Like Life was from there, and if you notice, it's just super moody, like very aggressive, almost like powering through that shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and then for the last EP, that's when James finally heard me. But for that one, I tried to lean more into like my rock roots, because I was
Mm,
like I'm a rocker at the end of the day. So I tried to you wouldn't believe it, but I was also very into like emo and a lot of alternative music as well. Like that what
mm,
got me through like middle school, through like the
yeah.
angsty days. But also same thing, great riffs, great songwriting. A lot of them are like ballads at the time. So
Mm,
I'm like, okay, so I got in. Let me. Some songs have like emo influences and stuff like that.
yeah.
So, but then that's when I finally was like, okay, I need to do something that's a little more Well, so here's the thing. I played with Twin Tribes. I got to open up for, I don't know if you've
Oh
heard of Twin
wow.
Tribes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're a great band and they're doing their thing. They were just on Cruel World. And I got the opportunity to open up for Twin Tribes and just seeing them play, being in their zone and just really absorbing that band. I was like, wow, like I really got to see like dark wave in its like this like modern dark wave that's happening. But not
Mm,
only that, like those guys have a tinge of like rock en español, which I'm Latin too, so I'm like I just gravitated right away. I'm like, oh, they also have a tinge of that like Spanish, spooky
mm.
Spanish rock
Oh,
kind
nice.
of, which
Yeah.
Spanish rock got from The Cure. A lot of them, a lot of them were
Mm,
listening to like bands like The Cure and Skinny Puppy
mm,
and stuff. So um, when I opened up, I was like, wow, these guys are great, and I just really got inspired by them, and so that's when I decided I'm like, I kind of want to lean a little more into my spooky side for the next one,
yeah, 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 yeah.
Not that I wasn't doing that before, because like I told you, Kid Barrett was already this like thing,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
was really just like it felt like I was a monster just kind of taking from everywhere. And now these last three songs that I've been putting out
Mm.
and the EP that I'm about to put out, it just feels way more
Like
zoned. I'm
cohesive kind
zeroing
of, yeah.
cohesive. I'm zeroing in on exactly what I want to do, and
Mm.
I'm executing that. So each
Dang.
song,
Congrats, man. That's
thank
living the
you.
dream right there.
It feels great. It feels
Yeah.
like wow, like I can think of something, put it down, and really like get it to Jane. Once you know what's funny about Life Stance at it's such an amalgamation of sounds that are
Mm.
going on that are if it's almost like how can I say that? It's like this like do you remember that thing in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory that's like doo 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 like a lot of like things are coming out of it, but
Oh
it
yeah,
the machine
yeah,
just works. So it all works together. But and I knew it was gonna work together. Like sonically, I was like,
yeah.
these sounds work together, but something about it is not really sitting right. So it was a weird song because usually you're ready for it. You're like, I have all
Mm.
my tracks, I know exactly what I want. And here, send it to the mix, right? But this song, I was like, you know what? It's a little funky. Maybe it needs mixing, So maybe
Mm.
after the mix, I'm gonna feel a little bit more. And as soon as I gave it to James, I'm like, it came back, and I was like, and we started crap. But actually, it didn't just happen that easy either because we had to really, um, we did a couple tricks here and there. Like there's some parts that have like megaphone on them and stuff.
Mm, mm, yeah.
So that's the parts that we had to be like, do we want a little feedback coming in here and there? Like it was just all these little tricks that
Mm.
we had to.
The kind of, yeah, because it sounds kind of wild too. You know what I mean?
It's wild. And then it
Yeah,
has
yeah,
that
yeah.
like I wanted to scream in there. Like, oh, so here's the thing. I was like, I might have wanted a solo in there too. And I was like, do I want a solo? And then once I had a scream when I was recording the vocals, I
Mm.
let out this like big scream.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, no, that's almost better than a solo. Like, because you can do that
Yeah.
live, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's a big thing also when I'm writing my songs now that I've been because like I told you, I was in bands and playing live
Mm,
is the whole thing, like
mm.
uh, setting your gear up and making sure that it sounds just like the rehearsal. And so I love just live shows.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I write now, I try to write like with that in mind
Mm,
to kind of, I'm always like, is this going to sound good live? Is it going to translate
mm.
live? Or if not, it ends up just becoming like a album filler, because
Yeah.
if you play it live, then,
So
or
what happens when you play live? Do you have a whole band, or are you singing to tracks, or what, or do you do
but right
different
now I'm
things?
doing backing tracks.
Yeah.
But what I do is like I'll take out the
The main
so I'll
vocal.
take out the vocal, the main vocal of
Yeah.
my song. So that's where because the rappers they'll just be singing right over their songs, but I
Yeah.
like to actually sing my track.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I
yeah.
sing my track, and then I'll take the solos out, and that's what I'll put in, or I'll take out like a lead lick and stuff like that. Like that's where I'll come in.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's
I never
fun.
thought I would play live again, to tell you the truth, but I'm having so much fun
You
now,
should.
and now and I could totally do that. Be like
Yeah.
one person on stage and hold the stage. I'm not worried about
Oh
that.
yeah.
But
Hmm.
also, it's like you said, open it for Twin Tribes, because I just think that's an easy opening gig to give people, when the band
Hmm.
can be totally set up and you just go out, with your computer or whatever.
Yeah.
So it makes it easy for a band to say yes to an opening spot like that when they don't have to
It's a
tear
trip.
down a bunch of equipment.
You're way more compact. You're
Yeah.
way more compact, and you can just, yeah, like get invited to more
Right.
things. Right now, we have a show coming up in October, and all the bands, there's no drum set, man. Like that
Mm,
show is gonna have no drum set.
yeah.
It just to say, like all the kind of bands that are playing are just like basically backing tracks, and just you're basically playing live instruments along to backing tracks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I would like to expand. I am looking to expand. Obviously, there's way more like when you're um obviously like how I am, I'm in between. So you have to kind of like I'm not we're independent, man. You can't really
Mm,
like pay people yet, but
yeah. Yeah.
obviously, you know, I'm working with you work with what you have, and a lot of people have like one person or another person,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and that's what the bands are like. So
Yeah.
like you said, Twin Tribes, I got inspired by like the but before I was already doing Kid Barrett with just one guy. I was just like
Mm,
it's just me and my tracks.
mm,
But um you can actually add as many pieces as you want. Like
yeah.
that's the cool thing about these genres that we're doing,
Yeah.
which is almost like paying homage to the 80s, obviously,
Yeah.
because that's when we started messing around with like synthesizers and stuff, and beat machines to kind of just play with like actually even before that with like in the 70s, right? Or I was thinking of
Maybe the real late 70s. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
Kraftwerk is like maybe the
Kraftwerk,
first.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, cool. But I really totally think you should definitely figure out what your live situation is with your mixes. Now you could definitely just kind of have your live track, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Totally. Yeah.
definitely.
I
I'm
mean, and
actually,
too, you could actually play in clubs too. I mean,
yeah, exactly, right next
that
to the
would be
DJ.
cool. Is your gigs, you do gigs at like dance clubs?
So that's the thing now, that a lot of the clubs are opening up to
Oh,
uh,
nice.
the
Yeah.
dark wave, the synth wave, and seeing that it's basically like you said, it's very adjacent to house music and like
Mm,
industrial music. And
mm.
so that's usually what happens. Like the bands are very dark wave, synth wave, goth, and the club will play like industrial music at the end of the night. So I
Oh,
was just kind
nice.
of
Okay.
mixed up.
Yeah.
So clubs, we're heading to clubs, and basically, what if it can support a DJ, it can support our music,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Totally.
basically it now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of linking back
That's
up
perfect.
into
Yeah.
full circle. It comes full circle, right?
Yeah. 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 That's cool. Oh my God, dude. I think we could talk forever. I think we've been talking for an hour already.
Yeah, we definitely could talk forever. And honestly, whenever you want, let's have a chat. I honestly love your energy. I was listening to some of your music lately, and I'm like, wow, just, I mean, can you, do
Oh,
you
thank you.
often talk about your process of how you write your music and stuff? Or is it
Um,
more like you keep that like,
no, no,
you
no.
it
I tell
fine?
you, I write everything and up until recently produce everything in GarageBand. I turn into like this. I do everything on my iPhone, and I just thought, you know what, that's going to be my thing. I do everything on the iPhone, do all my videos on the iPhone. But then, I was a huge, when James entered the picture, it's was when somehow Cocoon got to me. I think someone put it on a playlist or something, and I heard
Wow.
Cocoon, and I was like, I fucking love this, you know? And then I'm looking at his other material, I'm listening, Animal Within an Animal and Disappear Easy, and I'm
Mhm.
just like, I love everything that this guy does, I mean, like I was a
Yeah.
huge fan. And I didn't even know that he was an engineer and did remixes or anything, but and then he just put up in Instagram stories, hey, I should remix your next song,
Mhm.
just putting it out there. And I just messaged him, hey, how much is this remixing stuff?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah.
I love your stuff. He said, oh,
Mhm.
because I was going to tell you. I think I could do a good remix of Young Lovers. It's just when Young Lovers came out,
Uh-huh.
and
Wow.
and then
So it was that
he did
recent.
that. I mean,
So it was that recent between you two then, just right
yeah,
now.
yeah, just right
So
now, yeah, yeah.
and Trip Out, man, because he brought that song to me when it was just a little, like he just had it like written. He wanted to show it to someone, and I was like, sure, show me that.
Yeah.
And right away, like pre-mixing, before mixing, just a demo, I
Yeah.
had that feeling. And I feel like
Mm.
that's something that I tell people. I'm like, I have this power where if you show me a demo, I can see into the future and be
Oh
like,
yeah.
this is
Mm.
gonna be great, or like
Well,
this is,
I mean,
and
has he played you our the top secret release
no, no,
coming
no, I
out
have not heard any of
September
that.
29th? Oh, really? Okay. Because
No,
we
so
have a single coming out September 29th.
okay, no.
Scott
Besides,
Baker Graham and Pain in the Ass, and it
yeah, yeah, yeah.
is, I mean,
Ooh. I
yeah.
just
And then
heard
we've
I
done
heard
two
from
other
you.
songs. Yeah,
I heard from you that you guys just wrapped up, so I'm excited to hear it for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. So now I'm taking your strategy that you guys do too, where I'm just he said because I've been putting out I don't even know if you know I was putting out an EP like every 4 weeks or something.
Oh, okay.
Just
Every
totally
like every month,
insane. Yeah, just
EP a
insane.
month, but that's
And
just
it was just
had that
too.
much music. You
Yeah,
have that much.
but it's like I couldn't reach people. You know what I
I
mean? It's
see what
like
you're
just
saying.
slowing my roll a little bit, and then I can do the promotion, and I enjoy the promotion. It's
That
like
was me.
is that your idea? Yeah, yeah.
No, no,
Because
that was me. Like I
oh,
was doing in so I was working on like 6, 7 songs a year. And but I had this process where I would work on them all at the same time for some reason.
mm, mm,
And I'm like, this is not working out. Like, and to build up to one drop. And so I really, when I started seeing people like James doing that, I
mm,
was like, wait, I should, like what you said, focus, zero in on like at least a single until you have enough singles to build up to an album at least. But
yeah, yeah,
uh, yeah, it does help. I think nowadays attention spans are just kind of like through the kind of shot a bit.
yeah.
So they they're gonna sit through one song at least. So I'll give you guys one song for now. And right
Okay.
now I have an EP, but it's 20 minutes. It's
Mm,
5 songs, 20 minutes. So I'm like, you know,
yeah.
but yeah, I got the dog barking. Maybe we should
Okay, okay. There we go. Go feed the dog.
whenever no, 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 not no, I'm just saying like hopefully it's not translating over like super
Oh no,
annoying.
no, no, no. That's fine. No,
No,
no.
but yeah,
Yeah,
like
no. I'm adopting that method too. Is yeah,
yeah,
because James was like, yeah, you should really slow down, do a single every 4 to 6 weeks, and
it's a
so
great
so that's what
strategy.
I'm doing, and then
It's a great strategy to just focus in. You have more time for your artwork, for if you
yeah,
want to have a music video, if you have the budget for that. But I think yeah, eventually you'll have enough
well,
singles dropped to where you can kind of release your packet.
actually, I was just talking to a great friend of mine in LA who's an actor and a writer, and
Mhm.
he because I was talking to him about this, not putting work out as much, and he said, well, to me, people say, what's writing? And I say, writing is rewriting.
Right.
That's what I do. I rewrite.
Okay.
And I was like, oh shit, because I'm doing these songs on GarageBand so fast. I mean, literally, sometimes I have an idea, I do it so fast. I got fucking, a carpal tunnel everywhere.
I'm just
But
going crazy
yeah,
on the phone.
exactly. I do it so fast, it's crazy.
You know
But
what you're
but
doing
then
though.
but then I'm done. You know what I mean? Then I'm
Yeah.
done. And like and with James, I know like what you're talking too. It's like the process. Oh, this, it comes back. And maybe this or this. Okay, boom, back and forth. And that's the rewriting process. And so at the
Uh-huh.
end, you know, I have that immediacy, which I like with GarageBand, with like from idea to boom out is very quick. And I love that because you capture that passion on there. But the thing is that rewriting and the remixing and that throwing ideas, you have this like gorgeous thing at the end.
Mhm. Oh
And
yeah.
like and that's why, I say he's gonna I mean, if he'll have me, he will do everything until the day I die. All my music.
Just so you know, he's my engineer right now as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. So
both
we're
that's our
we're we're in
engineer.
it. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? We're very we're very lucky, blessed dudes, man.
Oh
Totally.
yeah, for sure. And I tell him this every day. I try not to blow his head up, but I always tell him in the way where like, bro, like you're really in your zone right now, where you know exactly what you're doing, you know exactly how to get it. And if not, you know exactly how to investigate it and come up with something that blows all of our minds. And
Yeah.
oh man. But these, like I said, these last three songs that I've gone to him with have been some of the best, like one of the best experiences within music that I've
Mm.
had,
I'm so
because
happy
hearing
for
your
you, man.
song to the fullest potential
Yeah.
is like wow, you know. It's
Dude,
just oof, you're
take
gonna
it for
blow away.
someone, take it from someone that's, I mean, for 40 years, I've
Yeah.
been fucking recording music.
Oh dude, I've been
It's
in this
a,
15, you know, like
yeah.
trying to play the guitar
But
for
this is
15
like,
years.
this is it now, man. I'm
Yeah.
like, I mean, I want to spread that message too. I mean, I'm 57 years old,
Hmm.
and I'm like, this is it. This is my
Yeah.
dream come true
Oh
right
fuck yeah.
now. This is my fucking dream
Bro,
come true.
57? I had no clue. I thought you were like a yeah, a 40-year-old, like just like chilling, you know? You're a
Well,
fucking great 50s, great 57, man. That's a compliment.
thanks, thanks,
You just
thanks,
didn't
thanks.
come out. Hell
Well,
yeah,
I
bro.
mean,
Like
I only say it because
the time is now.
I love that people the thing to pursue is exactly what you're doing, man. It's like I wish I knew that when I was your age to pursue just doing the music the best I could, you know, and finding ways to make that happen. Because I was like I was so bent on fame, you know, and it just like poisoned everything, you know,
Oh, I
that I
understand
did.
that.
Yeah.
I could see
Um,
that.
yeah.
That's insane, man. And but same thing, like I'm very like appreciative of anyone who came, like who was just a couple who has a couple years of experience on me. You know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
very appreciative of any knowledge that comes from above, because
Well,
it's just it's any I'm sure I can learn things from you, I can learn things from James, and
I'm
then because
learning from you, dude.
and
I'm
then you're
learning from
learning,
you.
and then it comes full circle,
Yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, cool, fuck it, and I'm like, I'm just doing whatever. But to be honest, man, it's been a lot of sacrifice. Like some people, like, it may look easy, but like it's been sacrifice. Like I
Mm,
don't really, like, for example, like just like family stuff, like just it interferes with your like creative pursuits, so you kind of have to like do your own thing, you know.
mm,
And then
mm,
it's like that's kind of what I had to do to just kind of be like, fuck it, I'm gonna be who I am. I'm gonna
mm.
study what I want to do. I'm gonna, you know, put out music when I want to put out music. And you get the itch once you start doing it a lot. You're just like, okay, it's kind of time to put
Yeah.
out another song, you know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So
Well,
it's just
more power to you, my friend. More power
thank
to
you
you.
too, man. Thanks for having me. Honestly,
I just have to tell you a little history here. Joey Ramone was at one of my band's shows once.
oh
Yeah.
fuck, that's cool.
If I
You
could
saw
play
his
a show, I see Joey Ramone,
tall ass how
tall
like
ass, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
impossible to miss at the bar, you know.
How did you how did it feel, man, to see have one of the Ramones watching you?
Um, it just felt like this is New York, man. This is New
Yeah,
York.
right. This is New York.
It
And what
actually gave me
venue was
hope
it?
back then. That
What
band?
venue? What
Oh,
venue?
that was Continental Divide.
Oh, okay,
It's called
cool.
the Continental. Yeah,
The con
he used to come in there from time and again. Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome, dude. What a story. Um, the only coolest, the craziest story I have is one of my buddies who well, he was in my first band, and then he started his own thing. Shout out Wandering Gypsies. That's the name
Mm,
now.
yeah.
But he's just like, I every now and then he's like, I need a rhythm guy. Like, you want to come play? And I'm like, yeah, fuck it, let's go play. He's like, all right, I got to show at the whiskey, you know. I'm like, okay, cool, let's go. Um, we opened up for Strawberry Alarm Clock.
Mm,
So the '60s band, do you remember
yeah,
them? The
yeah,
like
yeah,
trippy
yeah,
Incense and Peppermints was their big song.
yeah.
I was like, oh, cool. We're opening up the psychedelic, because they were more like bluesy, psychedelic kind of vibe.
Mm, mm.
So I was like, okay, cool. And then they came up after the show to us, and we're like, dude, that was sick as hell, man. Because we're like super like my buddies is like Stevie Ray Vaughan enthusiast, so he's like,
Oh wow, yeah, yeah.
so it's very blues oriented stuff. So
Mm.
they were just like, man, great stuff. And to have a band like that come up to you and be like, tell you your blues is good, and like, damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Felt
yeah,
good. But playing the whiskey was fun too. Just being at the that was one of my dreams when I was a kid, because before I even learned how to play the guitar, my cousin brought me to see just locals night at the
yeah.
whiskey,
Mm.
like on a Monday night. And first band that went up was a reggae band. Then we had a punk band. Then you had like, it was just like such a great night. And I was like, and I was just getting into the Doors and stuff. And I was like, dude, Jim was hanging out here. That's so cool, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And ever since
I never played there, but I did hang out there. Yeah, we had to go
ever
to the
since that day,
whiskey.
I was like, I'm gonna play. I want to play here. I want to play here.
Yeah.
And then with my like third band, we played there like three, four
Mm.
times, you know. And eventually,
Right.
to where like I knew everything about the sound, like how the sound and great sound at the whiskey. That's all I can say about that
Mm.
place. Like
Mm.
everything, like great sound. Like dealing with the engineer was like, oh wow, like this guy gets it, you know. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
maybe at the time, you never know if he's there anymore, the same person, but
yeah,
yeah, venues playing at venues like that is just fun, man. It's super
yeah.
fun,
Legendary. Yeah, yeah.
dude. Any other crazy stories?
Well, I was going to tell you when you mentioned Ramstein because I'm the guitar player from Ramstein's a friend of mine, Richard
Oh,
Christopher. I
dude.
met him in New York, and he actually married a friend of mine back then. So
Mhm.
who knows? You know, he's played on past demos that I had. So you know,
Oh, no way. That's
we'll
so
see.
cool.
We'll see how things go and get a little
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Richard
yeah.
Crispa on
Oh,
the
yeah. Yeah,
Kid Barrett.
it,
You know, that'd be good.
yeah. So yeah, man. Thank you for having me. I hope like everyone.
Thank you,
I mean, I
man.
hope everyone can check out the songs because, like I said, there's two cool remixes of my previous tracks, and then there's gonna be, Life Stance is gonna be right there in the front. So,
Yeah, and when's it coming out? Just to remind everyone.
exactly a week from today. So like it'll be
Okay.
available on 8/28, so August 28th.
Okay, so I'll wait till that date and air this. So it's
Oh
a
yeah.
boom
Oh,
boom. Yeah. Yeah.
sounds perfect. Yeah.
So people can listen to it and
Or
watch the show.
even, yeah, whenever you feel like it. It's perfect for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
All right,
Thanks, man.
man. Dude, so happy that we connected this way.
Yes, and like I
And
said,
once of many, first of many, first of many.
oh yeah, and you're in Denmark. That's so wild because um my partner has some friends in Denmark, so there's talk,
Yeah,
like
come on
even
over. Come on
you
over.
never know, you never know. Well, I'll end up. I'm always like that. Like I'm very spur of the moment, and like I
Yeah,
have buddies in Hawaii, buddies in Florida, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. I'm gonna pop up on you. I tell James this all the time because he's in
yeah.
in
Virginia. Yeah,
in the sticks, and I'm
yeah,
like, dude, I'm gonna go join you over there, and we'll just like have a production month or something,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
yeah. But
yeah,
it's all
yeah.
about music, man.
Oh,
Like
maybe. Well, you're coming from there. I'm coming from here. Maybe we can converge on James one day.
that would be. I'm telling you, I want to so bad. It wouldn't be a bad idea. Like let me know with advance, and I could
Yeah.
probably set it up.
Well, I'm coming to the States August 25th, actually. Just
Ooh, and
or
you're
this
landing
coming
on the East Coast?
Thursday. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
East
I'm gonna
Coast?
be
Oh,
around New York and Connecticut. Yeah.
oh, that's so cool, man.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you got any fun things going on over there? Or?
Yeah, oh, I'm just seeing family and some of my good friends. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so it's good because I when I moved to Denmark, of course, I left, an army of friends behind. So
Of course.
it's good to get there at least once a year and visit.
Try to get
So
some gigs out there, man. That'd be
yeah, yeah.
sweet to hear you to
Yeah,
see
yeah. Well,
live.
I think in about 6 months, then I think I'm gonna have something. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That sounds
yeah,
great, man. That
yeah,
and 6 months is gonna fly by. So
yeah,
I'm excited for you too. To hear your
yeah.
stuff. Like I
Thank
said,
you so much, man.
I was going through your stuff and I'm like, wow, like for it to be garage band, bro, like that doesn't even because I'm a big when you mentioned garage band earlier,
Mm,
uh I'm a big garage band enthusiast, like I
mm,
started with it and then it led me to Logic. And then right now I'm in this phase where I'm like, let me go back to GarageBand and just simplify my brain a bit and
mm,
just
mm.
focus on major points in music. So GarageBand all the way, man. Like if there's any person that's gonna listen to this who's trying to figure out where do I start, start out on GarageBand because that shit's gonna just make your life easier to put out
Yeah,
music.
yeah.
Great job. I was just and I was telling James the other day, you should definitely contact like Apple, email Apple and be like, hey, I make music on GarageBand. Like, let me fucking do an ad for this shit. You know?
Yeah. Well, I thought about that, but I mean, I think at this point they have some pretty big names that have done it. But also
Garage.
now as like I said to James when he first did that first remix for me, I said, "Oh, I'm fucked now. You know, I gotta hire you for every single thing I
Oh
do.
yeah. Oh no, for sure, bro. Like this.
I can't have it. I can't go back.
Oh yeah, no, of course. You can't once you go forward, you can't go
I
back.
can't
Like,
go back."
mhm. Oh, believe me. And it's so funny because I do that sometimes. I listen to the demos and I'm like, later once it comes out, and I'm like, oh yeah, I needed it. I definitely needed it.
Oh shit! Yeah.
But yeah, man. Thank you. I think we've gone over an hour now for
I
sure.
know, I know. Oh well. Well, James will watch the whole thing, probably. You know.
Oh, oh. No, dude, thank you, man. This has been
Talk to
such
you
a great
soon.
conversation.
Talk to
Yeah,
you
man.
soon,
Love you, man.
Joe. Love you.